Hello, everyone. I welcome you to this video of Widow Talk. And today I'm super thrilled to welcome a truly insightful guest to this video. I have with me here Katherine Kimball. She's a relationship coach with years of experience helping people rediscover love, connection, and hope after loss. Navigating relationships after losing someone can be, well, one of the most challenging journeys, and she brings a compassionate and informed perspective to this topic. And together we'll explore how to honor the past while opening ourselves up to meaningful relationships in the future. So I welcome you, Katherine, today to this video. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for asking and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, first off, Katherine, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so I am a relationship coach and the CEO of Catavita Coaching. That's my coaching business. And my specialty is helping women who are coming out of relationships recover and get ready for new healthy relationships.
Right.
And also people that feel like they're stuck in the same sort of patterns over and over again, where they're not making the progress they would like. We work on breaking those patterns and seeing if we can bring some awareness to them.
Wow, that's great. That's great, Catherine. So how about we start with you share some effective strategies or practices for someone who is beginning their journey after losing a loved one, and like what can you say to these people in terms of overcoming relationship related grief?
Yeah, so really, a lot of people don't realize that when you lose a relationship, even if it's just a breakup or a divorce, there still is a grieving process that you have to go through. And you can grieve relationships of friends, of parents, of family members. Um, and so grief comes anytime there's a change in our relationships that was different from how they used to be. So even if it's a good change, if the person was bad for you or not the right fit and you're better off separated, that doesn't mean that you still don't need to give yourself time to grieve for what was, for what never will be, um, and all of those things. So being really honest with yourself about how you're feeling and being very compassionate and accepting towards feelings because it's not always just sadness. There can be relief. There can be even joy or happiness, fondness of remembering the person.
Yeah.
And so just letting all of those feelings come, whether it's anger or sadness, or happiness, or some mix of all three,
Yeah, so what
that
you're
you
saying
just,
is that we should let the feelings come and just let them be.
yeah, just honor the feelings. Because I think sometimes people think they need to feel a certain way and they try to fight what they're truly feeling because maybe people have told them about, this is how you should grieve or this is what it should look like.
Of
And
course.
it's just like, well, everyone's going to be different, so there's no right or wrong way to
True,
go about the process.
true. True. So thank you so much for sharing all this, Catherine. So my next question would be, so in your experience, can you tell me a little bit more about the misconceptions about grieving after the end of a relationship, like be it after someone's passing away, or it can be, of course, maybe after someone when someone goes through a divorce, or maybe after a breakup. So can you share some insight about how these individuals can navigate these emotions effectively when they have lost a relationship?
Yeah, so I think it's important that the the Grief Recovery Institute, like that there was founded by two psychologists that specialized in grief. And whatever type of grief it is, they say it's very important that you choose, connect, and communicate.
Wow.
So one, you get to choose, right? The way that you're going to grieve or what you're going to do next.
Right.
Especially since after the end of a relationship, whether it be a breakup or loss of a spouse, you don't feel like you have control, right? There's that loss of control. So getting to choose your next step is very important to regaining that sense of control. And then also, like, I think a misconception a lot of people have is how you connect with others.
Yeah,
Because I think in our society, right, grief can be an uncomfortable feeling.
can be.
And so there's sort of this misconception of, oh, let's give them some space and let them process, and let's let them grieve over there because they're going through something. And there's this idea that there should be a disconnect. But
Yeah,
actually, what most research shows is that that is exactly the time that you need to be right there. You need to be with that
true,
person,
true.
um, letting them cry, letting them be upset, letting them be angry, and just be there with them, not trying to fix their feelings, not trying to change the feelings, but definitely not letting them feel like they're alone in the process.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think
and
it's
and
extremely important to connect with people who are grieving because, like you said, I would definitely second that that is the exact moment in someone's life when they need the connection the most. So yeah, you're so right. So, Catherine, how can someone balance this process of grieving and healing from a past relationship while remaining open to new possibilities and connections? Now, this is a very important one.
Yeah, so it's also a very difficult one, right? Because you want to have new connections with people and you want to go and be with other people and form new romantic relationships, but it can sometimes feel like maybe you're betraying the person you are with or something.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to being honest with where you're at, both with yourself and with other people. And I think sometimes you're not going to know where you are until you try it,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes you can feel like, oh, I'm ready and I'm in a place, and then you go on that first date and you kind of realize, oh, like that actually brought up stuff that I still haven't processed yet. And just understanding that that's okay and that's going to be a natural part of the process. And some of it's just going to be trial and error,
Yeah.
until you know what you want and what you're ready for and what you're comfortable with. So I think when it comes to being open to new opportunities, it's um, you know, just listening to that inner voice of, I think it would be good for me. Maybe I should get out there. Maybe it is time to go on another date. And then, you know, go on that date and then evaluate after. Did that feel good? Was that too much? Did it bring stuff up? And just one, not judging yourself, but just listening to yourself to know where you're at.
Okay. So I
So
have
I
another
think,
question. It's just came up my mind while you were saying all this. Okay.
yeah.
Let's just say let's just say that someone does they muster up the courage to think about getting into a new relationship, forming a connection with someone, or maybe they get a very good opportunity. So what about the triggers? What about if during that relationship they sometimes maybe because of grief, maybe because of the baggage that they have, well, we all have it. So,
Yeah.
what about the triggers in a relationship? Can you say anything about that?
Yeah, so I think I mean, everybody has triggers, right? So the idea that you're going to be completely healed and free of triggers before you enter a relationship is probably not very realistic. Um, and that's okay. I think it's more about making sure that the triggers, one, don't negatively affect you or the other person unduly, right? So that they're not blocking a connection. And so I love the idea that triggers are really just your body letting you know where you still need to heal.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity of, okay, I'm feeling triggered, identifying that rather than just immediately reacting to it, and then looking, well, what does this mean? Where do I need to grow? And then if you're in like it would depend on the level of the relationship, right? But if you're in a more serious or committed relationship, letting that person know your triggers and having those conversations of, um,
Yeah, of
hey,
course.
these are some of my triggers. These are some of the things I've had in my past. So that person kind of knows what they're dealing with. Um, like I said, probably not a conversation you're going to have on a first date of, oh, by the way, here's a list of all my triggers, right? Um,
Of course.
but as the relationship progresses, letting like you both becoming aware of what the two of you are bringing to the relationship, good and bad, so they can be a little more aware. So, like for a personal example, um, right. I had in previous relationships issues with um, being the one who was sort of a caretaker and it having an unequal uh, balance in the relationship as far as I became more of a caretaker rather than someone that was an equal partner.
Hmm.
And so my fiance is very aware that sometimes if I feel unappreciated, whether he intended that or not, one of my triggers is going to be I don't want to be, I don't want it to be, I don't want to go back to just being a caretaker where I'm the one doing everything and there's no emotional support for me.
Right.
So he knows that I'm going to be more sensitive about those issues, right? So it's also so that other person knows not to take it personally,
Yeah.
right? Of, okay, it's not just you responding to this one thing, it's also attached to these other deeper fears that you have and being able to hold space for each other and respect that. And it's not just something that you want to work to have in romantic relationships, but even in friendships and with your
Yeah,
family,
of course.
being able to say, you know, hey, this like hold space for that person and understand that not everything is always personal
So,
and that they're coming from their own background, their own experiences, and their own struggles.
yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this,
Yeah.
Catherine. So, if I
Yeah.
may ask, well, how has grief shown up in your life? If I can, be very open to asking you this.
Yeah. So I think the biggest struggle I've had with grief personally was when my niece was killed in a car accident
I'm so sorry.
unexpectedly.
I'm so sorry.
She was a month away from her 14th birthday,
Hmm.
and I mean, obviously nobody was expecting it.
Hmm.
And it was a really difficult time for everybody. It just was a very different experience than when I've lost loved ones before, but they were grandparents, older people, or people who had had long, long battles with cancer. So everybody kind of knew, like it's still that doesn't make it better in any way. It's still hard when they go, but there's some sort of um, I guess, expectation or preparedness that you're not blindsided by it, right? Where this was very much like she was there one day and gone the next. Um, and I think the recovery process goes back to that, letting myself feel those emotions, um, and getting to a point where I was very angry. I mean, I did all the traditional stages of grief, the anger, denial, bargaining, all of that. But I think also understanding that when you have unexpected grief, it's you're not only grieving not being with that person anymore or the separation or an end to something, you're also grieving what will never be.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
And so it's all the things that you thought they were going to be there for,
Yeah.
but now they're not.
Yeah.
I thought, and it's still even now, like when I got engaged, there's still been those moments of I always thought she was going to be part of my wedding party, you know, but that's not what the universe had planned.
Yeah.
And so just being gentle with yourself and understanding that's okay. And it doesn't mean that, you haven't processed your grief or that you're not moving forward. Um, just because emotions still come up sometimes. And just honoring that.
Yeah.
I think for me, another thing that really helped me was I can't remember what celebrity said this, but I was watching it was a interview, and he said, when we cry about those who have passed or we get upset, it's really just unexpressed love, right? It's
Yeah.
love that we had for that person that we didn't get to express when they were with us, and our body has to express it some way.
Yeah.
And that's all it is unexpressed love.
It is. It
So,
is. Well, I am so moved by hearing you talk about your niece, and I'm so sorry. And well, but like as we can say about death, it's one of those things that we have no control over. And all of us,
yeah,
we have at one time or another, we have seen someone we love go away. We have all lost someone to death. And again, the inevitable, we can't do anything about it. And I hope and pray that all the families, all the people who lose their loved ones, they find the courage and they are, patient enough to have themselves, to give themselves the capacity to go through this process of going through their emotions, recognizing them, sitting with their emotions, and allowing themselves to feel whatever they want to feel. And I would really like to thank you, Catherine, for being with us here and sharing your
yes,
wonderful insights about how people who have lost someone important, someone they loved, someone who thought who's going to be with them forever, like, yeah, that's how we think. So, for all those people,
yeah,
you have said so many nice things that people can definitely, well, learn a thing or two from. So, thank you so much for sharing these insights, Catherine. And well, again, thanks for joining.
yes. Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, thank you
So,
so much,
thank you.
Catherine. Thank you. As I wrap up today's conversation, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Catherine for sharing her wisdom and empathy with us. Navigating relationships after loss is no easy path, but we just have to keep reminding us that healing and opening ourselves to new connections is not only possible, but can also be a beautiful way to honor our journey. And I hope that all of you out there who have lost a loved one, may you find comfort, encouragement, and perhaps a new perspective on what's possible. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. And remember, grief and growth can coexist. So until next time, take gentle care of yourselves. Thank you.